Barack Obama is not our political opponent. He's not. Neither is Nancy Pelosi or Harry Reid. For the last year, I've had a lot of time to talk to a lot of Republicans, Tea Party members, conservatives, libertarians, and everybody's excited about 2012. They can't wait to vote. They can't wait to go to those booths and click somebody. In my time talking with them one-on-one, I try to remind people, you know, Barack Obama is not our problem. If we think that simply removing him from office is going to fix America, we're fooling ourselves. He's just a person. But it's his ideas that are dangerous to our nation. See, Barack Obama is just a long line. He comes in a long line of collectivists, democratic socialists, Fabians, Marxists, utopians. What we have to understand as a party is that if we want to be successful in not just defeating him, but truly fixing the country, we have to change our message around a construct that can defeat the construct of collectivism, of utopianism. And the construct's already been given to us. That core theme is already a part of our lexicon. It's liberty. It's what's created everything we see around us. It's what some of our citizens have taken for granted. To counter the statist agenda, I like calling them statists. We can use any names, but I'll call them statists. To counter that agenda, we got to do a couple things. First, why liberty? Why is it so important? Second, we have to understand why Democrats are so successful with their message. The third thing we must understand is, why does it seem Republicans always have their foot in their mouth? They do. And lastly, we're going to take a look at how to use liberty as a framework for addressing the issues of the day. Well, first of all, why liberty? You know, in 1850, a French philosopher, economist, and journalist named Frédéric Bastiat wrote an essay called The Law. And in it, he defined liberty in such a way I wanted to bring it to you today and actually read the quote for you. I didn't want to mess it up for anyone, because it's crucial to understanding what our task really is. Bastiat wrote, actually, what is the political struggle that we witness? Is it the instinctive struggle of all people towards liberty? And what is this liberty, whose very name makes the heart beat fast and shakes the world? Is it not the union of all liberties, liberty of conscience, of education, of association, of the press, of travel, of labor, and of trade? In short, is not liberty the freedom of every person to make full use of his faculties so long as he does not harm other persons while doing so? If not liberty, is not liberty the destruction of all despotisms, including, of course, legal despotism? Finally, is not liberty the restricting of the law only to its rational sphere of organizing the right of the individual to lawful self-defense and of punishing criminals? There's a lot of stuff in there. But I want to focus on one thing: legal despotism. You see, a lot of us think when you hear the word despotism or totalitarian, you think of the butt of a gun. The Democrats today, they don't seek outright totalitarianism. They seek legal despotism. We have to understand that fact clearly. Let me give you an example. 2,000-page bills that nobody has read. Or, as the famous quote of our former speaker, we have to pass it so you can find out what's in it. That's legal despotism. What it really is, it's the subversion of the sovereignty of the individual for the power of a government. This is the core thing that America was created to subvert and to undo. Everything we did in this nation, from the founding of it to today, was meant so that the individual is the sovereign and the government is the subject. If we're to win this political war we find ourselves in, which, by the way, has been going on for as long as man has sought to govern himself, if we're going to win, we have to understand that fact that the individual is sovereign and that government is the subject. In every position we push forward, every policy we adopt, every time we explain it to the American people, that must be the basis behind our examples and our motives. Bashiat went a little further. I want to read you this one. He said, depart from this point. Make the law religious, fraternal, equalizing, industrial, literary, or artistic. And you will find that you will be lost in the vagueness and uncertainty. You will be upon unknown ground in a forced utopia, or worse yet, in the midst of a multitudes of conflicting and contending utopias, each striving to gain possession of the law and to impose it upon you, for fraternity and philanthropy have no fixed limits. Think about that. Fraternity and philanthropy have no fixed limits. Sound familiar? He wrote this in 1850 France. Let me give you a couple examples of this. Conflicting utopias. How about crony capitalism versus class warfare? Are they not conflicting utopias? We have some who seek to use the power of government, the force of law, to make lives better for themselves. Solar panel companies, Solyndra, anybody? Ethanol? Dare I say, GM and Chrysler with federal bailouts? Or I could go further. TARP funds and bank bailouts. On the other hand, we have class warfare. The diminution of the sovereignty of the quote-unquote rich for the betterment of the quote-unquote poor. And who's lost in all this? We the people are lost. Because we're being pushed to and fro, not understanding that it's liberty for all that makes life stable here in this nation. I could blame George W. Bush for the bailouts because he was president and he was wrong. But I can also blame Barack Obama for his current rhetoric of class warfare, stirring up strife in our streets, people in tents in our parks all across this country. This is what we must guard against as Republicans, as conservatives. This is what we have to fight for. We have to prove to our fellow citizens, liberty is the key to moving our country forward. I have to make an admission. I have an affinity for the modern Democrat. I do. Not for their policies. I think they're destructive. I think they're corrosive of a society like ours. But if you watch how they always move forward with their positions, they never take a step back. Sometimes they slow down, but they're always moving forward towards the goal, which is utopianism. You know, have you ever listened to Nancy Pelosi speak? Anybody here? Who actually listened to her speak? Listen to the words that she uses? Have you noticed she never talks in specific policy terms? She always talks about fairness, equality, the fair share. Barack Obama does the same thing. So does Debbie Washington Schultz. Why do they do that? They do that because what they understand is that to communicate to people who have no idea of public policy, you have to speak to their core need, their core desire. If anybody's familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, one of the first needs for a person is security. And that's what they speak to. Give us a little bit of your liberty, and we'll make sure life is secure for you. We want to make everything fair. We want to make everything just, socially, of course. I was in my church a while back. My pastor said to us in the congregation, she said, faith comes by hearing. He was talking about faith in the word. My pastor was right. Faith does come by hearing. A lot of our citizens have been hearing equality. They've been hearing fairness for the last 80 years. And so now we have generations of people who don't know any difference. They don't understand that liberty is hard, that it's not fair, that it's reliant upon you. They're looking to somebody else to make it all equal for them. As Republicans, we have to have a counter-argument. The counter-argument has to be, with liberty, life is most fair. Because it allows you to do for yourself what no other man can do for you. It allows you to feed yourself, to clothe yourself. It allows you to set up a structure where your family can be on your shoulders in the future. It allows for the betterment of society. I've been watching the Republican debates lately. And I've been excited to watch it. I'm ready to vote. I told you, I'm ready to vote. I gotta tell you, our people, they know their stuff. They know their policy. They're pretty good. They're in depth. My favorite's Newt. I love Newt Gingrich. He's like a brain. You ever notice that? Like, Newt is just a brain. He can reference 3 books at a drop of a hat on any issue known in a sphere of public policy. But sometimes Newt talks to you as if you know as much as he does. He just does. How many of you watch The Cosby Show? I watched The Cosby Show. Yeah, everybody likes The Cosby Show? It's fun, right? One of the best episodes I remember was when Vanessa was in college. She came home with a young man, and she was married to him. But Cliff and Claire didn't know that. So they're assuming this is just a boyfriend from home, from college, and she's brought him home, this is a big deal. But unbeknownst to them, she's married to this man. So throughout the episode, it's found out, yes, Vanessa's married to this guy. And the guy is in the kitchen with Cliff Huxley. And he says to the guy, you know, I don't have a problem with you. And he's like, well, you know, sir, I tried to be honest. I wanted Vanessa to tell. He's like, no. I don't have a problem with you. It's not your fault. He says, what's your favorite dinner? What is it? He's like, oh, steak. Steak? Yeah. What kind? Ribeye? Yeah, ribeye. Big, 16 ounce. With a baked potato. Yeah. And some broccoli on the side and some asparagus. And, you know, that's what I want to eat. Never mind. It doesn't matter. It could be anything you want. He said, now take that dinner. You smell it? It smells great. Yeah. You ready to eat it? Yeah. He said, what if I took that dinner, put it on a trash can lid, and served it to you? So the guy's like this. As Republicans, this is how we give our message to people. When we talk about healthcare policy, we're talking about deductibles, we're talking about co-insurance, we're talking about reinvestment costs, we're talking about every wonkish idea known to man about health insurance. And listen, I'm a political nerd. I love to hear the wonkish stuff. I do. But if you're a mother of 2 in New York City, struggling to make ends meet, co-insurance rates don't matter to you. What you want to hear is you're going to do everything you can to make sure that the insurance companies aren't taking advantage of you, costs are low, and that you're free to handle your business in life. That's all you want. I say that with such passion because my mother was a single mother. She struggled in life and I watched her. But the one thing I realize is her struggles, to be honest, Mom, were part hers. And it's not right to look to another man and say, well, he has more, so I want that. No. The role of government must be clear. It must be to level the playing field and to not participate in it so that we, the people, can decide for ourselves and make the best for our lives. When's the last time anybody heard a Republican talk like that? I want to tackle a couple issues. First, a core issue to our whole political debate today: the living and breathing Constitution. I wrote this a few months ago, and I wanted to make sure I had it square. So I want to read it to you how it came to me, and I just typed it out. If you subscribe to the notion that the Constitution is living and breathing, then are you okay with the limiting of people and not of government? Think of it this way. The Constitution is our foundational law. Can everybody agree with that? All right. The Constitution is our foundational law. Can the foundation of your house, or even of this building, can it be living and breathing? Can this foundation adjust its very nature or chemistry, depending on whether it's hot or cold, or rainy or windy? If that were the case, we would condemn such a structure, because it would limit our ability to do what we wish, to hold meetings, to listen to speeches, to play cards, to take a nap, or to do whatever our human heart desires. How then is it possible for us to seek our own desires if our foundational law can be instantly changed without limit without limits, so that we lack the ability to plan for our lives? That instability erodes the liberty of man. That instability is what countless people lived under throughout world history. So that there is no wonder that the greatest achievement of any civilization happened here, where the rule of law was stable to allow for the liberty of man. So next time I hear somebody talk to me about, oh, the Constitution has to adjust with the times. No, it does not. Its purpose is stability. So you can do whatever you choose to do that's important to you. So I can do whatever is important to me. So I can pass on a stable society to my kids so they can do what's important to them. Let's talk about taxes. Everybody likes taxes. Who likes taxes? Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. Great. I'm a supporter of a fair tax. People say, you support a national sales tax? Yes, I do. With the elimination of the income tax. Why? Why do you support such a thing? That's crazy. Because I think it's wrong that the federal government reaches into the pockets of working people on the 1st and the 15th before they even have an opportunity to plan for themselves. I think it's corrupt. The government doesn't even have the decency to pay them interest. The Chinese get interest, but our own citizens don't. What I support is a tax system that allows you to do whatever it is you want to do. Go on vacation, save for a new home, put your child in that private school you don't want to for so long. With the money that you earned from the sweat of your labor. That's your labor. And in the process of doing all that you desire, then government gets funded. I think a lot more citizens will actually care about the expenditures of government if they saw how their money went to government when they went out to do whatever it is they want to do. When's the last time you heard a Republican explain taxation like that? You see, we just covered two issues. Not through, oh, well, the top rate's 25%, so we can drop that to 25 and we get rid of these loopholes, and that person can do this, and then you have the child tax credit, you have the welfare credit, you have this credit, that credit, you have refundable tax credits here, we can do this here, that there, and that way the third. That mother or two has no idea what you're talking about. She just wants to put food on the table. We talked about a lot today. Why liberty? Liberty is crucial to everything we do as a society. Human history is littered with society after society where the sovereign was one king or a group of people, and they decided for you. Whereas in this country, as it was founded, you are the sovereign. And government's job is to get out of your way and just make sure you're safe. Milton Friedman once said about liberty, the freedom of my fist is limited by the proximity of your face. That's liberty. That's what it is. Democrats are great at language. They use it well. But we Republicans can do better. We already have the issues on our side. We just have to relate that to people right here in their core so they understand how crucial liberty is to maintaining a solid society. A little while back, I took my sons to a birthday party. It was at the You Dig It playground. It's in the North Collier Regional Park. It's a little archaeological thing. It's a mock archaeological. And in this playground, there was all kind of kids that were all getting dirty, throwing sand pebbles on each other. It was great. It was awesome. And I'm sitting back in the shade, and I'm watching all these kids play, watching them get sand in their shoe and in their hair and all that stuff. And I'm looking at the parents. And all the parents, all the grandparents had a look of promise in their eyes when they saw their children, when they saw their grandchildren. And I had that look. I took a picture of it. Look at it. How are we going to maintain our society for those kids so that they can stand on our shoulders, like I stand on your shoulders and the shoulders of my grandparents and my parents? The only way is crystal clear. It's evident through history. Liberty. Economic liberty, individual liberty, freedom to choose and to do. There is no other way. As you go home, I want you to think about it. Find people, vote for people, look for leaders who understand that and will articulate it at every turn. Because as a party, our cause must become liberty. And that liberty will not only preserve our country today, but it will for generations to come. Thank you very much. I didn't plan on it. I don't want to mess with the agenda. I didn't really plan on it.
I think we're short on table topics anyway, so we can cancel table topics tonight. So if you want to,
I will do it. I will practice my Q&A as well. So if anybody has any questions.
You mentioned liberty and that the level playing field is division of but I think a lot of Democrats kind of feel the same way. So
They do.
How is your level playing field different from Democrats in the rest of the country?
Let me answer that this way. I'm a Republican, but Democrat and Republicans are relevant. People want to love. Right now what we have is we have parties, we have people of power who play the Democrat-Republican game. And they play the citizen against each other. You find if you, I'm part of a group that does a lot of advanced research. And what we found is people disagree on 3 issues. Guns, God, and gas. But for the most part, everybody pretty much agrees. We have politicians, and this is something else Bashir talking about. We have politicians who actively seek government power to improve their own lives. Right now, there's a scandal brewing that nobody's reporting about, that insider trading is legal if you're a United States congressman or senator. If they did, if I as a private citizen did what they did, I would be thrown in jail. Where's the liberty in that? You see, I think a lot of people understand. A lot of people understand they don't want to be taken advantage of. I don't want to be taken advantage of. That's why government, as a conservative, that's why government must be limited and constitutional. It must be restrained by the United States Constitution. Because that's the only way that the big businessman can't use his money to influence the weak politician to convert the law for his own benefit against you. That's the construct. That's what it is. That's why I rest my ideas upon liberty first, because that puts all the power in your hands, as well as in my hands, as well as in Chris's hands.
I would like you to well more into your taxation ideas and where you actually developed them.
My taxation ideas are my own. They're the basis of the fair tax, which was written by Neil Gortz and John Linder, who was a former congressman. I've read it. I've read the book. I completely understand it. The one thing I understand more than anything is that the federal income tax is the greatest deterrent to economic prosperity in the country, because it first takes from you and your labor. Government is the subject. That's another core point of liberty. Government's the subject. You are the sovereign. If that's the case, if we truly believe that, then how is it that the government gets their money first before you get yours? That doesn't make sense. So when people talk about flat taxes, let's do this, let's raise it on the vision. Nah, get rid of all that. Get rid of it all. The people are the sovereign. So when it comes to funding the legitimate aspects of government, that comes second to the sovereignty of the people. And of all the different tax policies I found, the fair tax lines up against this one.
I have a question. Now you said the Constitution is concrete and it is not living. Would you say that the amendments that are considered part of the Constitution, say Bill of Rights, are concrete, and any amendment that comes thereafter, nullifying or changing those amendments, are not making the document living?
Unfortunately, that's the price of constitutional government. I don't agree with all the amendments. The two amendments I would get rid of: the 16th and the 17th. The 16th is the federal income tax amendment. The 17th is a direct election of senators to the U.S. Senate. It used to be the Senate was elected by state legislatures. Why? Because the states are a part of the contract, which is the Constitution. The Constitution is a covenant of liberty between the states, the people, and the federal government. And it limits the federal government. That's what the 10th Amendment is so crucial. But when you talk about amendments to the Constitution, that's also important, because what the framers and the founders did, which was so impressive, was they didn't just lock their ideals into what America could be in the future. They gave us the amendment process so that we can make adjustments to our society, how we see fit. But again, that's a high hurdle. Supermajorities in both houses, 3/4 of the states. I mean, the people really have to agree for the amendment process. I think some amendments that pass are antithetical to liberty. But then again, we can't have a wishy-washy society where he's like, oh, I don't like that, let's just throw that. We have to come together as citizens, as politicians, as leaders, and we have to make those changes that we see fit for our future. I hope I answered that. You sure?
No, actually, I was just wondering how that rolls back into the Constitution is concrete and not to be changed. An amendment should not be considered part of that document. Is that?
Well, I think they have to be, because would you like to make an addition to your house?
Oh, sure.
So you have to allow for a framework to add to that foundation as need to be. Or maybe, you know what? I don't like where that bathroom is anymore. It's really a problem. Let's do the amendment process. Get that out of here.
Tell people where you're going to be giving the speech so they understand what you're doing.
Oh, I'm going to be giving this speech at the Southwest Florida Federated Women's Republicans Club. I'm going to be giving it on Monday.
So it wasn't just a Toastmaster?
No, it wasn't just for Toastmaster. So what about?
Why not do you support Newt Gingrich?
I don't not support Newt Gingrich. Listen, let me be honest. Now, this is the political side of it. If it's between Barack Obama and Newt Gingrich, I'm voting for Newt Gingrich.
Yeah.
You know, but what I will say about Newt, and it's not, what I said about Newt is not a slight to Newt. That's just who Newt is. My point is, and we need Newts. We do. My point is, public policy is hard. Political science is hard stuff. I laughed at political science majors when I was in college. It's like, what are you going to do? You're running for office out of college? You're out of your mind. Politics is a science. It's very intricate. It must be studied. But to be able to get people who don't know much about politics in there, you got to speak to them at a base level. You got to meet them where they're at. So we need our Newts, because we need the intellectual firepower behind our ideas.
Question. In your speech, I'd like to see it answer the independence of the Democrats to come over on your side of thinking. And you're saying liberty is the answer. There's a lot of people that are Democrats that are in this economic situation. They're getting a lot of government handouts. And the government is supporting them, taking care of them. And they're voting their pockets. And rightfully so, because they want to exist. So the party that seems to be giving and the government giving and sharing and dispersing is the Democrats. Tell me, maybe an experience story or some testimonial or somebody that's an immigrant or somebody that came across that had nothing and then wanted the liberty and opportunity.
I'll do better than that. I'll tell you my story.
I mean, I want to convert other people to your thinking, and I understand people that are with student loans and underwater in their house, and
I'm gonna answer that. I'm gonna answer that too.
PayPal in their finances. Now the government's helping them, and it appears the Republicans seem to not address everybody.
No, they don't.
And tell me how they're going to do that. That's what they want to know when they vote.
Two things. One, for all the handouts that are given, for all the help that people, some through no fault of their own, are getting, it's left us with $15 trillion in debt. Our unfunded liabilities are $70 trillion in counting, of which we don't have a single dime. If I fall on hard times, okay, and if we as a society decide that you want to help me, okay. But we definitely can't, I don't definitely want to pass it on to my children. And right now it will. And I'm 33, and it's still going to be passed on. Second point, my mother grew up poor. I grew up. Right? If we lived in an old world society where social liberalism will take us, that's a caste system. There's a few people on top who will make all the decisions. There will be no free flowing of capital. Milton Friedman said this. I love Milton Friedman. I think he's one of the great thinkers of the 20th century. He said this. He said, the society that puts equality before freedom will have neither. But the society that puts freedom ahead of equality will have both in great measure. We're not going to be able to convince everybody. But I believe we'll be able to convince enough. Because I think people are seeing today's society, they're saying, well, the Democrats are saying this, and the Republicans are saying this. But I can see we're screwed up. How are we going to fix that? The only way you do that is through liberty, and the byproduct of liberty is economic liberty. The free flowing movement of capital that will address all that. That's the best I can do. I hope I passed.
Thank you, Byron.